Hello YouTube, coming at you with another update on the V-Core. This is update number 3 at this point. I guess for starters, if you're wondering why that jumper wire is there, it's because I did end up blowing up the fuse like an idiot. I ended up shorting something to ground and the fuse reacted, so I don't have the fuse that it's rated for. Interestingly enough, I guess it's a good opportunity to say this. The board says 3 amps, but if you look closely, there's kind of no point because the camera's not going to focus on something that fine. But the amps that this is rated for, it says 1 1/4. So I don't know why that's a thing, but why the board doesn't reflect that. So I don't have a fuse of that rating, so I'm just jumper wiring for the moment and absolutely making sure I'm not shorting anything to the ground. So that's what that is. Now, with the V-Core deck, I feel I'm at a good point with the V-Core deck because instead of it being a complicated servo issue, it does seem to just be what I'm currently experiencing now. Let me put it into play and show you what it is I'm experiencing. So it's going to thread the tape like so. I'm going to go to the screen here, and you're just going to get this. This CRT is a bit modern, so you're not going to be able to adjust the vertical hold. So it's just going to keep doing that until it gets a decent sync. But it's because I was thinking it was a servo issue because, well, take a listen at the audio.
Burgling and everything to do with it. Always remember your heart.
Yeah, with how extremely slow and warped the sound is, that generally points to a capstan speed. But I looked at the servo circuitry. One thing you can tell if the capstan servo is responding as it should is if you were to manually slow down the capstan, like if I did this. It's more effective if you do it on the motor itself, but if you look at that signal on a scope, the voltage should change when you manually slow it down. Since it's just a DC motor by the looks of it, the voltage, if it determines there's a load on it, it's going to increase to try and get more juice to the motor to get it to spin fast to overcome it. And when I, did just that, it responded as it should when I looked at it on my scope. So the capstan speed circuitry looks to be good, judging from that. But I was talking to a pal of mine who I generally go to for deeper circuitry issues in these old machines. And he said, just because of how extremely slow and sluggish the capstan, the sound is, it seemed to be pointing to something in the tape path than it is the circuitry. So I decided to take a look again at the tape path here in the loading. Don't know if you'll see it, but because I've been working on this, of course. It doesn't seem to be doing it as much now, but I will say beforehand, yeah, it's not really doing it as much. Well, but that's good, I guess. What it was doing before is the tape at like this point on the pinch roll, it would like ride up the pinch roller, and then once it would make contact here, it had to just due to the forces of everything, it would fix itself. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a much more simpler repair than I thought it would. But, again, we're doing mechanics here, and at least if it's a mechanical thing, you can just kind of play around with things and see what you get. And so what I did, and also that squealing there, while the squealing is happening, I might as well address that. I determined that to be the real motor here. Yeah, see that shaft spinning? Yeah. So that's the real motor there. The belt on that, I feel, is not correct. Generally, the belt for the real motor, which controls the idler tire, that should be 2 millimeters by the looks of it, from what I saw in Renee's videos. The belt on here is just a 1 millimeter, so I feel like it's not able to deliver enough torque. It's not able to transfer enough from the motor to the idler tire, and the squealing is just part of like the belt slipping and all that. Sadly, I don't have. Yeah, the sound kick back on because I guess it's at decent enough speed. Unfortunately, I don't have. Can't really see it. Yeah, because it's on this side. I do not have a belt of that size. I have 2 millimeter belts, but they're square, and this is about the right diameter that it should be. And all my belts, like 2 millimeter belts, are bigger than that. Plus, I think an O-ring is more desirable than a square belt for this. I know Renee uses O-rings for this, so I guess I should, respect that and just get an O-ring belt. I'll look on Amazon, because for square belts at least, I've had success with the kits. I'm sorry, I was distracted by the programming. I have been successful on Amazon with the square belt kits for 1 millimeter and 2 millimeter, so I'm gonna check to see if they have like the O-ring style 2 millimeter belt kits. That way, if it doesn't work out, I at least have some stuff to cut my losses. That's not the right phrase, but whatever. Other things I did do in the meantime, I adjusted the guides, because before this was like really crinkled and all that. Now it's much straighter. I mean, I would like to think it's because I adjusted the lever. The service manual suggests that you actually have to bend the lever here at like see that point where it's like thinner? That's where you turn it from. And to do that, you have to hold on to the lever here, and then with needle nose pliers, you like just ever so slightly. It is slight movements, because the slightest movements make a big difference. You can just, in quick little spurts, I was doing it just to ease it into the different positions I want it to be in. You do that with needle nose pliers, and while holding on to this, because it says, to protect the fulcrum here, which I definitely understand. So it's just with just enough concentrated force, that sweet spot between not making a difference and effectively breaking the lever is where you want to be at. So that's what I did for the guide rails, to try and get an even tension all around, but I feel like I need to address this belt before I can really do anything else. So I'm gonna wait until I get the belt for this, replace it, and see what happens. Another point I should add is I don't think it's going to focus on it. And plus, it's not doing as much as it was before. But there was so much slack in this area. Like, you would not believe. So much slack that the tape was like... It was like rounding around this guide here. Not even touching it. Just like rounding around it. But it seems to be doing it much less now. Yeah, there's still instability in the tape, but I'm beginning to wonder if that's because the motion caused by this is not constant, and both non-constant, and does not have the proper drive to get the tape back in. Another thing, too, that kind of shows that point. Let me stop it. Okay, the unloading is still good, at least. Let's see what happens when I rewind. Now, also keep in mind, I was playing with the belt a bit before I started recording, so things did get moved around, so it's probably going to as soon as I hit record, it's probably going to operate better than I'm making it out to be, but no, exactly how I want it to. For purpose of recording, of course. Yeah, look at that. There's just not enough. There's just not enough to get that going. And yes, I did apply rubber renew to the idler tire. That did not help. I am beginning, like I said, I'm beginning to suspect that this belt for the idler is not good. Because, can you even see that? The motor's definitely wanting to go. That's what that squealing's for. But nothing's happening. And like I said, the idler tire does seem to check out. Even if I did want to replace it, I don't know where I would have to source the rubber from. Like at best, I would have to like add a little rubber bound around the circumference, attach it with a little rubber cement, just so the there's more to chew on. I suppose would be the phrase, just to see if that helps with the grip and all. But again, that's if I, in a world where I probably could not source the original part for the tire, and I'm not ejecting the cassette at the moment, because the moment I eject the cassette, because of how, so I did have to unscrew the lever here that's attached to the basket, because that's how you access the idler tire and the belt for the real motor. So I currently have it unscrewed because, again, like, whenever I get that new belt by next weekend, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the belt and see how that changes the operation. So I'm just going to leave things unscrewed at the moment. Here are the screws right here. And on this unit, you have to move the color board out of the way in order to access the goods here. Again, Renee has a video on that, showing you all that. And fortunately, since this is the same chassis as the 8400, it's just, there's no tuner block that you also have to remove to get to this. Once you undo this side panel, this is all there is. Well, there's also this metal bracket here. You have to unscrew that, and then just unscrewing the circuit board, getting that out, working it around this, which can be a little nerve-wracking, just because the wires also have their own, force applying to the board that you have to work around. Well, anyway, so that's where I am now. It does not look like a servo circuitry issue. It just looks like your good old-fashioned, you gotta change a belt, because I don't think this belt is delivering enough torque to that idler tire. And the fact that it can't rewind is definitely proving that point more. Yeah, hear that squealing. That is squealing like a dying pig. That's not good. Now, I don't know if the shaft of the motor should get oiled too, like if the squealing is from like the actual shaft itself, but again, I'm not going to know for sure until I change that belt. So once the belt is changed, I'll see if this thing operates any better. If it does, then we're on the path, baby. And then maybe I can get actual vertical sync on this. I'm really happy that I have the CRT. Do not get me wrong. But working on something from the 70s, yeah, it is definitely... I guess it is just unfortunate that I can't adjust the sync on this display. But that's where we're at right now. Just waiting for a belt. I adjusted the path as best I could with what I have. I guess while I'm thinking about it, that that guide there, I actually adjusted it towards the drum, and when I did that, it was away from the drum. I adjusted it away from the drum and the tape was actually touching the bottom. It's not. I corrected that so that it's off the rail, off the bottom of the guide. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, all I can do now is just play around and just get best results. But I'm gonna stop here because it's just gonna be my repeating of the phrase. I can't do anything without testing out the new belt, because that's literally where I'm at now. I will update you guys as that I have the new belt. Yeah, and another thing too is that when the unthread cycle is complete, this should be rewinding to, take away any slack in the tape. But again, doesn't like to rewind, as you see there. So that's where I'm at now. Have a good rest of your week, and more than likely I will see you guys next weekend.